Welcome to PC Games Nostalgia, where we talk about yesterday's PC games today. My name is Jimmy Wilhelmsson, and I will be your host for the next 20 minutes or so. The game we're gonna probe into today is... Each time we bring a guest from the gaming industry to our digital studio, and today's honored guest star is Douglas Holmquist, composer and sound designer for actually several games. Welcome, Douglas. May I call you Douglas, by the way?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Being a composer and sound designer for many games, how did you get into that business? What is your profession from the beginning, so to speak?
Well, initially after quitting school, I didn't know what to do, so I studied for a few years, and then I was a temp teacher for a few years, and had a bunch of different jobs. But then I sort of got into making music for a living when a friend of mine, Christopher Ström, he had one of the first YouTube hits with a music video that he made. So he wanted me to pitch music for commercials that he was making at the time. And after a year or so pitching, I finally got like my first gig, and then started making a living, making music for commercials and stuff. And a couple of years after that, I got an email from a guy who was a programmer who was making a game for iOS that was going to be called Sprinkle, and it turned out that he was a fan of an old band of mine that I had back in 2003, and he wanted some music. So that's how I got into making music for video games.
Okay, so what would you say is your claim to fame? I know you did some wonderful music to a little game called, by Mediocre Games, called PinOut. Was that your claim to fame, or what do you think is your the game that really hit off?
I think it's actually the game before that, a game called Smash Hit. That was our biggest hit, at least in terms of how much the game itself was downloaded.
So what are you working on today? Is that a secret, or could you tell us a little about your recent doings, or what you're doing right now?
It's a game called Teardown. Mm-hmm. That I'm making music and sound design for. And it's by, among others, it's mainly by Dennis Gustafsson and Emil Bengtsson from Mediocre, who made Smash Hit and PinOut that we mentioned earlier. This is a voxel-based game. It's about voxel destruction, basically. And the voxels are sort of a half or maybe a quarter of the size of the voxels in Minecraft.
And a voxel, to the viewers who don't know, is a 3D pixel.
Exactly.
So you destroy things?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you
exactly.
How do you work? I mean, how do you make music? How do you make destroying music? What are your thoughts on that? What was your inspiration?
Well, I kind of avoid drums and percussion for the sort of level music as you plan your heist. There's constantly explosions and stuff happening. Like you tear down walls and you shoot like with shotgun and guns and RPGs and stuff. So the music needs to be somewhat, mysterious and mellow and sort of drony and ambient for the most part of the game. So I actually kind of avoid drums or percussion for that part of it.
Okay, wow. Because that would have been my first take.
Yeah.
Lots of drums, lots of trumpets, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I actually I leave space for all the like explosions and guns and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's why you are a sound designer and I'm not. But you are here because you're nostalgic about The Secret of Monkey Island 2. Monkey Island, for those of you who haven't played it, it's about a guy who wants to be a pirate, Guybrush Threepwood, who in the first game actually becomes a pirate and also saves the governor, a female called Elaine, marries her or whatever, and saves her from an evil pirate, ghost pirate called LeChuck. And he's back. Why did you choose Secret of Monkey Island 2 among all the games that you'd be nostalgic about?
Well, a few different reasons. One is that I actually got a physical copy of the game back then, wow, which was quite unusual. And so I played it maybe 1 or 2 years after it came out. I think I got it in 92 or 93, so I was like 11 or 12.
Do you still have the box?
Sure.
Okay, please show us. So few people. Oh, that's a beauty. Monkey Island 2. Okay, so the title is actually Monkey Island 2, not The Secret of.
Right.
Because
right.
The secret is revealed during the first game. I'm an idiot. So, being a composer, what is special about Monkey Island 2 from your point of view?
Well, the special thing was that they introduced this whole new interactive music system that they wrote on LucasArts called iMuse.
iMuse, yes.
Yeah. This was the game that introduced that system. It's pretty amazing what they pulled off as early as 91, I think. And I heard a talk by Peter McConnell, one of the people who wrote the music and was also responsible for making the iMuse system, together with Michael Land. I heard him talk about it at GDC a few years ago, and he mentioned that they were so proud of what they had come up with, and then when they showed it to people, like other people working at LucasArts, nobody even noticed that the music transitioned because they had pulled it off so smoothly. So they almost did too good of a job. Right. People didn't know music changing because it was so smooth.
Because that's what iMuse is about, isn't it? How does iMuse work, and what does it do?
Well, it's a MIDI-based system, so they actually recorded all the MIDI information with a MIDI keyboard instead of programming it with a sequencer, which was, I would say, had been the usual way to make music for video games up until sometime in the late 80s or so. But they made sure to have actual recordings to keep it, sort of alive and a little bit wonky and a little bit of reggae, esque at times. And they recorded lots of transition points. They sort of made the music into parts that could transition pretty quickly into another sort of arrangement of the music. So when you walked around at Scab Island in the town of Woodtick, the music would change when you went into the map guy's house, or when you went into the hotel, or when you went to the dry cleaners. Right. The music would sort of transition to sort of a different version of the same song.
Right. Because that's what you learn when game designers or game programmers are talking about what's the most difficult thing about writing a game. They often tell you that you never know what the player is going to do. If you write a book, you decide what's going to happen. If you direct a movie, you know what's going to happen. I mean, you tell the actor, go from A to point B. But in a game, you can never tell a player what to do because they're free to do whatever. So what you're saying is that this iMuse system was the first to actually have the music follow what the player was doing.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. Not today, maybe, but for a system and game programming and computers that were so slow and definitely did not have those sound capabilities that sound cards have today.
So I think they would have, back at the time, I think he said that they would have loved to have all the possibilities that we have today, but as a result of the constrictions, they made music that is perhaps more memorable than contemporary, generic video game music, because they had to make it so melodic. And,
they made music that is better.
Yeah, in a way they did.
We still remember it. I mean, you can wake me up in the middle of the night and tell me to sing the Monkey Island theme, and I would totally pull it off.
Sure.
So who were involved? I mean, in Secret of Monkey Island 1, it was only Michael Land doing the music, but you mentioned several guys. Who were they? Who were responsible for this wonder?
Yeah, it was Michael Land and Clint Bajakian and Peter McConnell. So they sort of split it up between the three of them. I think they because the major part of the game, you move between 3 different islands. So I think they did 1 island each, and then for like the end part of the game, they split it up somehow.
So Monkey Island 2, it takes. I mean, I always want to say Secret of Monkey Island 2, but it's not. It's Monkey Island 2. Is also written by Ron Gilbert, right?
Yeah.
And it's very close by. I mean, you laid your hands on it in 92 or 93, but it came out in 91, with just 1 year after Secret of Monkey Island. Can you tell? I mean, do the games fit in good together, or is Monkey Island 2 a giant leap forward? I mean, how do what do you think of the series, how it works together? Because there are several games also after that.
Yeah, I think the first 2 games fit together very well. Obviously, it was your mind was almost blown when you saw Monkey Island 2 for the first time, because it was VGA graphics,
right?
And it was and they had, in the first one, they didn't have like icons for the stuff in your inventory.
Mm-hmm.
It was just words.
It was just text, right?
Yeah. So it would just say loaf of bread or mug. But in this one, you could actually see like hand-drawn little, monkey or
the monkey
whatever
wrench. In the second game, you have the monkey wrench. You pick up a monkey and you can use him to as a tool, and it's so far-fetched, at least to me, but it's fun. There's another thing also. Since we're talking to a composer, I would like to talk about the music. There's a puzzle or a labyrinth at the end. I don't want to spoil Monkey Island 2 because it's such a great game, so you should play it. But towards the end, there's a labyrinth where you have to choose between different skeleton parts, and the lyrics come from a song. And you know that song probably, since you're a composer.
Yeah, absolutely. Dry Bones song.
It's the Dry Bones song from Delta Rhythm Boys, a really old song that you can find on Spotify that is really cool. You talked about MIDI before, which is a protocol that tells the sound card sort of what instruments to play, right? Yeah, and if you didn't have a good sound card, it sounds kind of shitty. How did that affect, do you think? Did you play the Monkey Island 2 on PC at all?
I played the first Monkey Island game with just the internal PC speaker, which is which could only produce 1 note, and that was 1 square, really beepy square.
It could also produce noise, like if you're opening a door or whatever. It could say something like that. One more question. The future of iMuse, what happened next? I mean, if iMuse was such a great invention of Lucas film, I think they were called Lucas Film still, LucasArts they were called later. What happened next? Did everybody copy that, or what happened?
I don't know if people copied it. I seem to recall Peter McConnell mentioning that people really didn't notice. I mean, players and reviewers and people didn't notice the quality of it.
Wow.
So I don't know if other game companies copied it, but I know, I think the LucasArts or Lucasfilm, I think they continued to use it for a couple more games, perhaps, you know, throughout the 90s at least, I think. I'm not sure how other developers, like when they started with similar interactive music systems.
Right.
I'm not sure of that.
Because one thing that happened that I actually think took the game music industry backwards was that the disk drives were replaced by CD-ROMs, which is a great thing. I mean, you can read things faster and all that. But people also noticed that, oh, so we can put music on the actual CD. So they had full songs. The negative impact was that it's just playing. It's just a song playing. It can't interact with anything. And there were a couple of years where all music were shipped like that, like tracks on a CD player, which is horrible. Yeah. You just turn on the game and it starts playing a music. I can as well just turn off the music on the game and have my own CD play whatever I want to listen to.
Yeah.
Those were horrible years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it might be able to be nostalgic for that period as well if you were at the right age. But for the rest of us, that was like a dark age of video game music, I would say.
Because what we said was, oh, now the music can sound great. We can have any music. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
But it's also boring music because it doesn't work with the player.
Yeah.
So I'm sad to hear that maybe players didn't notice and didn't appreciate the power of iMuse. But at least we appreciated Monkey Island 2, and I appreciate very much, Douglas, that you took your time to talk to us.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I wish you all the best with a good game, Tear Down, where you destroy things to beautiful music, beautiful notes, and beautiful sound design. Thank you so much, and have a great day, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks. The same to you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.